opposition ready?
Yep.
Judges ready? Judges, when a kid buys a course that tells them they're going to be thin in a week, this detrimentally harms that vulnerable person, and we stand with these vulnerable people and oppose that internet gurus sell their own products and services, and do this for 3 reasons. First of all, accountability in products. Secondly, emboldening harmful insecurities. And thirdly, which my partner will be giving, a lack of personalization of products. But first, here's a few points of framing. So first of all, internet gurus, right? These are people that build up a cult or personality around themselves and their content. Internet is like a place where popularity is quickly gained and lost, meaning they are looking for ways to always stay relevant, and for that they try to always outdo their competition, doing kind of these extreme products and selling them as this new high-end thing. Also, they have this huge internet following, and these idolize them and put them on a pedestal because these internet gurus have this particular charisma that they sell in their videos. Secondly, on experts. So you can be, like, these experts can be gurus, but it's very important to note that these are a minority, right? There are way more gurus than there are experts. Because internet, and this is very important to note, because this majority of internet gurus use the internet as a primary income, so they're going to be like posting more and creating a like strong personality, as they don't have this like credibility to count on, and they need these videos to actually gain their income. But experts have this credibility, and videos like aren't their primary source of income, so they actually like, for example, work as a therapist instead of having to like sell this kind of fake credibility within videos, right? And like these experts that like simultaneously use the internet, this is a minority. We're talking mainly about these gurus that aren't experts, right? And experts aren't the experts when they do sell these products, and again this is a minority, people aren't like drawn to their products, right? Because experts don't sell this charisma because again they don't need to, they have that credibility. So again we're talking about a minority because experts simply don't do that because they don't gain a lot from it because people aren't drawn to them.
Why?
And they have this credibility as well to continue selling the product when they aren't relying on these videos on our side of the house, right? This is very important to note. And then another point is that what is not in this like scope of the debate is like selling products but not being a guru, and secondly, kind of selling merch and other products that like without the claim of being an expert, right? These like gurus that sell merch, for example, they don't claim to be an expert in creating this clothing line, so this is like out of the scope of this debate. And lastly, like in regards to framing, receivers are often like vulnerable people, right? These are kids that are on the internet, these are teenagers. And with that, I'll move into my first argument, which is accountability in products, right? So products are often kind of like scams or like a fake kind of presentation and don't give the help needed. So often we are like spending, for example, hundreds on a course to like help us create a business that then doesn't work, or hundreds on like a skincare cream that then makes us break out more than it actually does. And we've got like an example for this is, for example, Logan Paul, who cost millions to give away money that they never got back because like he pretended to be this cryptocurrency expert, right? And what this causes is when they're like selling these scams and these fake products, they are exploiting the receivers, right? They're exploiting these vulnerable people. And why do they get exploited? Firstly, because they make things based on luck seem like they aren't, right? For example, creating a business like this and like getting famous quickly, like this is kind of arbitrary, but they're mostly based on luck, right? And they make it seem like it isn't. They make it seem like you can buy their product and immediately achieve that. And secondly, because they like distort the ease of which you can get it, that you can even like get to this particular point. They make it seem like you can get thin in a week. And thirdly, because they make it seem like that. Oh, sorry, no, thank you. And thirdly, because they make it seem like they are experts when they actually aren't, right? They make, like, nowadays in the internet, it's very easy to create this fake credibility, to create like fake college degrees, to make it like a good-looking website, to fake good reviews because they've got contacts with other great creators. And due to like these 3 reasons, it's very easy nowadays in the internet to make these people get exploited. And once they've been exploited, the problem is that since there's no accountability within like these internet gurus, because they simply don't have it, again, this like they can fake it and it's fake, firstly, the main like issue is if it's, for example, like a business kind of course that they were selling, you don't get this money back, or as well if it's an actual product that you bought, you don't get this money back. You spent it, you used that product, it didn't work, you're not getting that money back. But more importantly, you can't stop that person from acting that way and like exploiting further people, because they have this cult following, which means that like if you make a negative comment or leave a bad review, you're gonna have like 50 people after you kind of like bullying you and like sending threats to you, because they put that person on such a pedestal that they can't even believe that there might be a bad review, and they come after that one person that actually tried that product and made it seem like there was a bad review. So this cult personality often outweighs this bad review, so people still buy this product due to this idealization, even if there are bad reviews. And before I move into my second point, I take the point of information.
Yeah, okay. So for massive influencers, they have, for example, other reviewers that are likely to call out these influencers for things like money. How then is like of your argument?
We don't believe that, because actually internet gurus are like friends with other internet gurus, so it's very unlikely that like other high-standing internet guru gives a bad review to them. And again, if they have such a high following, that high following will come after that other like internet guru that gave that bad review. We've seen this. They have millions of people following them. We've seen the cancel culture. They just cancel that other person that gave that bad review to their original internet like guru. Now to my second point of emboldening harmful ideologies. So gurus like create a demand for that product before selling it. They have to do that, right, to be like enabled to be able to sell it. And like these products are often ways to like fix problems, so they make people feel like they have these problems, right? That is how they create this demand. So at best case, these like makeup gurus, for example, create like more videos of everyday 45-minute like routines and make people feel like they need to spend these 45 minutes a day to like have this particular presentation. And at worst case, viewers see gurus as like someone who's like finally telling them the truth, right? They say that like right now you're doing it wrong, that they've been like exactly where you are at exactly this like wrong stage in life, and that it's disgusting. And the guru presents themselves as a savior, says, I was there, it's okay, I'm here for you, I'm going to teach you like how to be successful like me, how to get out of that bad place just like me. And they use this direct appeal, talking to like an audience in these videos and being like relatable. They tell them they can't do it, that they tell them that they can do it if they just work as hard as they did. And this is like a false narrative as explained prior. So oftentimes viewers actually can't do it, like we said. So success varies per person, right? It's like it has to be personalized. Courses don't always work. These gurus like get successful like via luck and not because they actually like did particular things. And the harms of this is they see themselves as like disgusting people that are like so terrible that even with this easy way they didn't achieve this like positive thing that the guru was trying to sell with them, right? And they lose their self-esteem. And this has this is like a huge harm. And because gurus make them believe that they are the only ones who can help them. And when this only person that can help them like doesn't work, then they like lose their self-esteem. As well as before that, since they make it seem like they're the only person that can help them, viewers shy away from actual like credible sources to get their help from, because it's this easy fix. And it's and that the problem is that when they can't the like positive impact on our world is that if they can't if they're not selling this product, they don't get any gain from like creating these insecurities, right? Because they only created to create a demand for selling their products. So we are actually completely like releasing this harm, and on those points we are proud to propose. Thank you.
Thanks, Nico.
In a realm where monopolization is the prevailing narrative, the internet gurus are the only ones that can take the fight against structural injustices that occur in the status quo. We have two main arguments. Firstly, on how we topple monopolies and therefore increase competition, and secondly, on how internet gurus will produce higher quality products. My rebuttals will be integrated. But before that, on framing. Firstly, who are these internet gurus? They're content creators that make and sell products in their specialized industries. There's three characteristics I want to make note of. Firstly, they're likely already famous, popular, and successful to the point in which they can create such products. It's likely that they have significant financial capital. Secondly, there are people who are uniquely specialized in a certain field, or there are people who are professionals within the field, for example, like doctors. The implication here is twofold. Firstly, that they have the capacity to create good products. But also, secondly, we significantly contest proposition's characterization that these individuals are inherently short-termist and therefore will make bad products. Second piece on framing. What do the quality of products look like? It's likely that the internet gurus are going to make high-quality products. Firstly, they care significantly about public reputation and they're subject to backlash. Insofar as internet gurus are already capable of creating such products, it's likely that they're already established content creators that are quite famous, powerful, and successful, which means two main things. Firstly, that backlash is very, very likely. A lot of consumers exist, which means that they can hold the content creators actually accountable. But also B, the expectation is high because they're already they're claiming a significant impact, and therefore people are believing it. Now, what Proposition Bench will have you believe is that the cult following will come after you. And we significantly contest this again because the bad products that are created by content creators are likely to be bad for significant numbers of individuals. We'd like to use their analogy against them because, for example, in the case of Logan Paul, which they brought you, millions of individuals significantly held Logan Paul accountable and made him pay back. But secondly, pre-existing regulations exist on either side, which means that the worst forms of bad products are going to be regulated in either paradigm. With that said then, the first argument to bring to you here is on how we increase competition by toppling monopolies and stimulating the market. First layer, what do monopolies look like? And we say this looks like two things. Firstly, usually monopolies comes from the first mover's advantage. Look at most food industries or energy industries. People who found the oil first get to control most of the oil. But even if it doesn't come from first mover's advantage, it almost always comes from consistent high price of entry. That is to say that most corporations have significantly more infrastructure than what new businesses can have, which means that they can make more efficient products, better products, and cheaper products. Why can content creators significantly contest this? There's three main reasons. Firstly, that because they have a guaranteed return on investment. Why is this true? Because they have existing followers, they have existing audiences that they characterize. If you have 100 million subscribers, it's likely that a significant portion of those individuals will buy your product, which means that you already have a guaranteed return on investment. But also secondly, angel investors are significantly more likely in our world, and there's two reasons why this is true. Firstly, because as noted previously, there's a return on investment that's guaranteed, which is very, very important for angel investors. But also secondly, these gurus are significantly more credible than brand new corporations because one, unlike doctors or corporations that work in the shadows, internet gurus literally have to show their daily lives, their accomplishments, what they look like, etc., through vlogs and videos, etc., which means that people can actually see the personalities behind these individuals. But also secondly, gurus, in the process of making these videos and blogs, they likely have to explain their products and their knowledge to the public, which significantly creates credibility. The third layer under this is on what the impact of this argument is. And the impact here is very, very simple. Insofar as corporations are profit incentivized, which this directly means that market competition is very, very dangerous for them. They have to control market share, which means that insofar as these content creators can uniquely bring competition to these corporations, they can better two things happen. Firstly, we get lower pricing and we prevent price gouging. This looks like significantly cheaper products for customers, and this is very, very important because in a monopolistic market, corporations are likely to take advantage, and this is very, very bad. Look at like the medicine industry in America. But the second impact here is on higher quality products. Because these corporations, because the content creators have the capacity to cater to consumers. Firstly, why do they have capacity? Well, because they usually start as the consumers. They're originally, like, for example, food lovers, and then they turn into food reviewers or food experts. But also, secondly, they have the incentive for two reasons. Firstly, I'll take you after. Because they have the incentive for two reasons. First, because their fan base is the consumers, so the possible backlash is significant, as noted earlier. And also, secondly, they're in a very unique position at the capacity. So to gain significant market share, it's likely that they take advantage of this. Note that no other alternative can do this. I'll take you.
Why is it that corporations that are in the shadows, that are heavily rated like the medical industry, should instead be replaced by consumers that don't understand what like medical gurus are selling, when in the case of the professional can just be a claim and not a fact?
Okay. We've engaged in this a lot of times. We told you, one, that these individuals are likely experts, which means that they can produce high quality products. I'll also tell you why more significantly later. And also secondly, because it's ridiculous to allow corporations to price gouge when we have the capacity to have these content creators bring down prices. Second argument on how these internet gurus have higher capacity and incentive to produce high quality products. The first layer here is why these internet gurus have the incentive to produce high quality products. And we think there are vastly two main reasons here. Firstly, that they need to be competitive in this very new market, which means that the best way to get market share is to produce these good products. But also secondly, because they have to protect their reputation, and there's four layers I have to use to prove this to you. A, the important to note on internet gurus is that they have other revenue sources than like ad revenue and sponsorships. And B, this means that they cannot risk these other revenue sources, which means C, that these bad quality products are going to significantly hamper their revenue sources, insofar as most of their revenue sources are derived from their reputation and how the public views them. Which means that whether it be ads or sponsorships, these individuals have to protect their reputation, which means they won't risk their revenue sources and they will produce high quality products. Imagine like, for example, if Mr. Beast's Feastable bars cause significant health damages. The second main layer under this argument is on what these two main incentives are likely to manifest in, and we think there are a couple things here. First is on higher quality products, and this comes in two ways. Firstly, the use of higher quality materials, because they have the capacity to do this, because as we explained in argument 1, they have a high starting fund and guaranteed ROI. Secondly, corporations are likely going to work with, these internet gurus are likely going to work with experts. Thirdly, they're likely to reflect consumer interests. We already explained this. What does this mean? This means two things. One, we get better, higher quality products in the hands of consumers. For example, YouTubers making significantly better forms of like gym clothing than what corporations have been able to do. But also secondly, we significantly increase competition. So not only does this manifest in the form of things like lower prices, but there's also an increase in the quality of products that come from the corporations as well, due to the same mechanisms we explained earlier on market competition. At the end of the day, we say that to protect consumers and to give the consumers the best product at the best prices possible, we say that it is imperative that internet gurus have the capacity and are allowed and can produce these sort of products. So proud, Joe Pose. Thank you.
If everyone's ready, then I believe my time starts now. Opposition lost the moment they failed to engage with two primary points that we brought you throughout our case. First of all of our analysis on what these gurus genuinely look like, which I'll get into shortly, and second of all, our entire second point of emboldened insecurities and the ability, how securities are emboldened to be able to sell this product. So let me get into why these are so important before I get into my third question on like this whole point of the lack of personalization of products. So let's get into it. So why is it so important that they drop this whole point on emboldening insecurities? We told you from first that what happens when like these gurus want to sell these products is that overall they're going to create insecurities in their consumers. They're going to tell you you're disgusting, you're ugly, you're fat. Because when they have like these insecurities that they can create in these people, they tell them with their like cult of charisma that they built through like showing what their vlogs are every day and talking to them and giving out constant content, that overall they can fix these problems because they were in those same places. That doesn't mean that because you were in the same place you have the ability to fix these, because each one of these content creators has their different ways of coming out of these issues. For example, just because you managed to be unfit like a year ago, if you have good genetics, you can genuinely get fit very quickly. But if you sell these same workout plans to people and say under these guises you can become instantly like ripped, we think under these guises is when you're gonna have like a disingenuous like population. And this goes into like the second big thing that they kind of forgot, which is like, what do these gurus genuinely look like? We told you from first that they're unlikely to give you professionals. We give you a bunch of analysis on this. It seems like they missed all of it because they just asserted that they're likely to be professionals. So let me repeat it for you. We told you it's very easy to claim to be a guru because the only thing you need to be a guru is to claim to be a professional. So under this pretense, we can have a lot more people who even like pretend to be gurus than are actually professionals. But why is there like an additional incentive for professionals not to be gurus in the majority of cases? We told you because of the fact that they usually have lucrative other income streams through their main profession. If you're a good doctor, it doesn't make sense for you to spend all that time that you could spend like treating patients, like selling this like strange other product. Because overall, the opportunity cost of having to set up all of that and like be able to be a content creator means that you can't do both of these jobs at maximum efficiency. So you have to choose one. And when you're like a successful professional, or as successful as they would like to claim, at being an entrepreneur, at being a doctor, or being whatever like type of mental health professional, we think that overall you're gonna make a lot more money and you're gonna put like your talents to a lot more utility when you like practice in like private practice and not like just to the broad internet. And I think we'll get into my third point on like the lack of personalization of these products, where even if these people wanted to help, they're not gonna help in these products because of the mass nature of it. But secondly, on these points of like backlash and why they're not going to get it on their side, we think this was a huge mischaracterization. Let me tell you a few reasons why. Why are they likely to have accountability? First of all, or not have accountability. Because of the fact that they can see to themselves that these influencers are powerful and have a lot of financial wealth and financial capital. So just on this basis alone, we think that they're very able to and they're gonna get like a bunch of angel investors, apparently, as they say on their side of the house. On this like characterization alone, they're very likely to be able to withstand like financial shocks. But even if this product fails, why are they still like incentivized to keep on releasing new products if they're bad? And I think this like deals kind of with like the quality of the product point. Look, even if their products are bad, they can make new ones, and their like angel investors will continue to invest in these because they know they have mass markets. When you have a ton of followers and a ton of like people to say this, you say, oh, that product wasn't very good, let me make a new one. And you know what? It's okay that to make like a product that's bad or faulty if you have the same amount of people returning year after year to buy that new product. Even if that new product is claimed to be better and then endorsed by other celebrities, which they claim themselves, like you have like an incentive to trust because of like their charisma, not because of their expertise in these issues. And then like going on to like the third point on like monopolies, look, we think that like we don't think that overall you're gonna have like a big incentive or a way to like confront these monopolies. And even if we did, we fail to see why this is like something that's so great or that should be so weighed so greatly, because we think that overall what happens is like skincare isn't a monopoly, it's a saturated industry. So what happens when you have to break into a saturated industry? You have to carve out your own niche. Usually this isn't on expertise, otherwise every skincare company would have like a massive amount of like importance. So what happens here is instead of carving it out on expertise, which they can't compete on, what do they compete on instead? And this is that whole point of charisma and the lack of expertise. So even if they have no reason why they should be trusted, if they can like film a blog and say, look at my skin, it's so pretty, look at yours, it's not, you know, you should follow what I say because my skin is pretty, then overall you're gonna have more people buying their product because of that like self-to-self nature and because of their charisma, but not because of their expertise. So that point on like the quality of products fails. And like on that point of like lower pricing as well, like we don't understand why, if these are premium products that are being sold by someone who has so much money and who also is like going to be targeting very vulnerable consumers and telling them that they're going to be solving like these huge problems, why they're going to price those cheaply. We think that when it comes to things like Prime or Mr. Beast, you're going to have bottles selling for $18 a bottle, not for like $1.99. And like finally on this one point of like the quality of products, like on why it's gonna like be good, and on like Mr. Beast's chocolate. Well, first of all, like what we think here is that overall, when we're talking about internet gurus, we're not talking about like merch or other like these products that they sell, because these are secondary products that they sell to like what their main side hustle is, which is overall selling products and services that are related to like their internet like expertise. So when like Mr. Beast sells a bar of chocolate, he's not claiming to be an expert in chocolate. What he's claiming to be an expert in, or what Logan Paul claims to be an expert in, is financial markets. So when they sell you and genuinely like claim to be really great at selling these products and give you financial services based on that, this is when we think that this is being disingenuous. And overall, we think that those other products are outside of the scope of this debate because they could exist on either side. I'll take a point before time is up. There, I'll take a point.
Can you explain why our characterization on how these internet gurus have the incentive to significantly like make sure that their big audience base doesn't backlash against and doesn't stand in this debate?
Yeah, and I think that like there's like a tension in your case when it comes to how you characterize like these gurus. You tell us either everyone trusts them and people like are super into like their like cult of personality because of like the day-to-day like reels that they show or whatever, and then on the other hand you tell us that they're gonna have a lot of backlash because of their consumers. What we told you on our side of the house is that we think that these people are much more interested in the persona than they are in the product. Why is this the case? Otherwise, like these people could go and like look for other alternatives. We think that if you really cared about an energy drink, you could go to other energy drinks. We think that if you really cared about a self-help book, you could look at other self-help books. The only reason they purchase these products is because of the name attached to them. It's a way for these internet gurus to make money, not to help people. And I think this ties into my third point quite nicely, which I'll get into now. The lack of personalization of products and how that relates to the lack of effectivity of them. So first of all, why are they not personalized? A few points here. First of all, on mass audience. Look, when you have so many followers, when you have 10 million followers, you're gonna try to appease them all as much as possible. And even if you wanna try to like have these personal consultations, we think that you're gonna have too many clients, and you're probably gonna be unlikely to maximize your profit like per all this time. So what you're gonna try to do, much like you do with like your content, is maximize it so that it attracts the most amount of people. Second of all, there's a lack of interest because of their primary income stream, which tends to still be like their video and content producing. This also attracts people to their side hustle, which means their first priority is the internet and getting these new consumers. Again, this ties into the mechanism of even if it's a bad product, they can still get new people if they like have other people join their cult of personality. And the effect of this is that the same product is sold to 10 million subscribers. However, it is sold as something that will help you specifically without any personalization of these claims. So let's go through and see the harms of this like per industry. Like when it comes to like people like finance and business gurus, they tell you that you like this is like really dependent on your financial situation and your skills, especially when you're telling people to sink tens of thousands of their dollars into crypto or drop shipping. Like you're telling people to sink their life savings when into something that's unreliable when they paid you for an all-access exclusive personalized plan at an extremely high price point. I mean that this is overall worse when you tie this into things such as mental health and self-help, and you tell them here's the productivity plan for depression, when oftentimes they occlude the nature of like external help because this delegitimizes the self-help nature of these products. Proud to propose.
If I speak up this volume, am I audible? Great. Panel, the problem I have with that case is that they have no case at all. Because the things they say, look at the things they say. They say people's insecurities are being exploited. Big corporations do that for marketing purposes on their side of the house as well. They tell us gurus selling misinformation happens. Gurus can still sell misinformation through their YouTube accounts on their side as well. They say gurus' products are unpersonalized. If corporations have to sell to masses and masses of people, then those products are also going to be unpersonalized. It was unclear what they were trying to push out. Compared to that, we told you uniquely on our side, when gurus uniquely sell their products, it increases market competition. Therefore, because they have to abide by things like reputation, it's likely that these products are going to be high quality. We also told you that irregardless of whether or not the guru's products are high quality or not, insofar as market competition increases, these companies themselves are going to have high quality products. I'm going to talk about two things in this speech. One, will gurus make better products? And here I'm going to integrate my split argument. Secondly, will corporations improve their products? Firstly, I want to clarify two things here. Number one, they say we have a tension in our case because we claim that people are going to buy these gurus' products, but then we told you that these people are also going to backlash. No, this is not tension, this is nuance. Because we told you the incentive for gurus to originally make these products is because they know they have a fan base. But we told you that the fan base calculus changes, right? Because insofar as these fan base actually have to buy these products, they have to spend a lot of money, which is why now their incentives change, and insofar as they have to spend money, they are likely to going to look at the quality of the things that they're buying in the first place. But secondly, they also told us that gurus are likely to market their personality. No, we contested this at face, because we told you that these gurus, what we're talking about is not random internet celebrities. We are talking about gurus who are people who are experts, which is why their fan base are likely to be kind of somewhat interested in their area of expertise in the first place. Firstly, let's talk about the first clash on will gurus make better products. First, I want to prove why reputation matters for these gurus over money. Because their line of analysis here is that gurus want to have short-term profit. No, gurus want to have long-term profit, and that is their incentive. The reason behind this is twofold. A, gurus have to spend a lot of time creating their content, right? It's likely that their talent lies in content creation as well. The implication of this is that this is their only career path. This means that even if they can get some profit by selling one product, their main profit and the main way they sustain themselves is by hanging on to this one main job. Therefore, it's likely that they want to care about their long-term reputation as well. But secondly, these are established gurus, right? Which is likely that they're probably going to be professional, and it's likely that people are able to hold them to account because they have the same area of expertise. Therefore, it's unlikely that they're able to sell these products in the short term, which are really bad. But outside of that, there's two pieces of weighing here. Firstly, the incentive of internet gurus, right? These people have the passion to create this content in the area of expertise in the first place. This is why they opted into becoming famous. Therefore, they care about being seen as professional. They care about being seen as famous. They do not care about profit so much. But secondly, insofar as you are an internet guru, you're releasing your personal information, you're using the same username, which is why if you do not want to have personal backlash against people like your family and your friends, it's unlikely that you're going to make the trade-off that they suggest.
More information.
Secondly, why then will accountability towards guru be exclusive on the our side? This is a strategic flaw on their side, right? Because gurus giving bad advice is pretty symmetric. What changes on our side? There's three things. One, they have to go through basic regulation once they make these products, insofar as they have to now make a financial change. But B, people's calculus changes because they now have to spend money. But C, product reviewers come up. They said these product reviewers are going to be silenced by their fan base. But let's flip this, right? Insofar as you're receiving hate from your fan base, this is good. Because as a product reviewer, you're actually being able to sensationalize your content, and that is how you can expose more people to the bad quality of the products that these gurus are making. The implication of this is that even if gurus have bad incentives, we get increased accountability for these people once they've uniquely released these products. Thirdly, let's compare our impacts here. Firstly, they told us kids are going to be caused, but we think that those people are going to be regulated by their parents. Secondly, they said people are going to be unhappy. As I flagged in my intro, this is not unique, but I didn't think this is true to begin with, because the context of the people who are watching these gurus are likely to be Gen Z because of the nature that they use social media. These people grew up with social media, and that is why they have media literacy in the first place. Let's look at our impact here. We told you that because gurus care about reputation, they're likely to make good products in the first place. Here's where I'm going to introduce my split on increased influx of products that are most socially and environmentally friendly. The reason for this is that the audience of Gen Z has the audience of these gurus are Gen Z, who have two characteristics. A, they have high awareness of social issues, but B, they use social media themselves, so they have a capacity to backlash against you. Therefore, in order to cater to this audience, you have to make more products that are actually socially and environmentally aware. This looks like making green products. This looks like making transgender clothing. This looks like making unisex clothing. Why is this argument important? One, net more products that are aware is good insofar as it caters to the most vulnerable and minorities. But secondly, this is only unique to our side, right? Because corporations have to cater to masses and masses of people, which is why, in order to avoid polarization, they cannot make those sort of products. But on our side, because gurus have to only cater to Gen Z, they are likely to be able to do that. Before I talk about will corporations improve, I'll take that point.
Panel, Op's entire case rests on the gurus being experts, something we've asked them to engage for 2 speeches now and has not been answered. We invite them to engage.
Okay, number one, we told you that by the nature that content creating is likely to have you invest a lot of time, it's likely that you're actually interested in the things you're making in the first place. But secondly, even if you're not an expert, the moment you release that product is where you get accountability and where corporations become better, as I talk about. Okay, let's talk about that clash then. The strategic implication of this clash is that even if gurus themselves have bad incentives, corporations will have higher quality products. Their rebuttal here is that this market is saturated, therefore gurus have to make niche products that are not going to be contested. Panel, note this contradiction, right? Because they themselves say that gurus make content that is not personalized, but then in order to rebut to us, they say this content is likely to be niche, this content is likely to be unique, they need to pick a characterization. I have 2 engagement here. Firstly, I want to contest this at face. The market is not saturated. The reason for this is that in order for you to be a company, you have to have very high startup costs, you have to get a lot of investors, you have to have a lot of infrastructure. This is why it's likely to be a monopoly in the first place, because you need bigger infrastructure in order to sell. But secondly, even if it's saturated, this doesn't matter, right? Because insofar as competition increases, people are going to see other products because they're interested in that area of expertise. That is why they're opting into the gurus in the first place. Therefore, it's likely that they're going to become more exposed and more interested to other products that are higher quality. Why is this exclusive to our side? Firstly, because we introduced market competition, right? Which is a unique incentive for gurus to actively compete and call out these corporations. But secondly, it's likely that on their side of the house, and here's the comparative, in the absence of you being able to sell your products and you being able to make a financial profit of your products, it's likely that the way in which you make financial profit is by actively associating with these bad corporations and being funded by them. This is why, on their side of the house, it's likely that the monopoly increases and the influx of bad products made by one company actually increases on their side of the house as well. Panel, Gurus are not random TikTokers. We told you that gurus are expertise in their fields, and I beg you to vote opposition. Thank you.
Everyone ready? Panel, Team Japan's characterization of all YouTubers as being expert business tycoons that know the ins and outs of the business world cannot win them this debate, and here is why. Because if they want to frame YouTubers and TikTokers as being intelligent business people who invest in trans clothing and pharmaceuticals and green energy, then they will exist on our side of the house as well, because they do not need their YouTube channel to promote the product. If they're receiving angel investors, if they know the ins and outs of the industry, they don't need their YouTube channel to market their product. So regardless of whether or not they use their internet charisma to market their product, they're still going to exist. What they needed to reconcile their case with was the fact that the margin in this debate are the people that we talk about, the individuals that take advantage of the most vulnerable, who are not experts, and use the internet as a platform to coerce and take advantage. They will lose this debate for that reason. Two themes in this speech. Firstly, what do internet gurus actually look like? And secondly, on harmful ideologies, I want to begin now with the first question. And the first thing I want to talk about under this speech is the idea of the return on investment, and they're just like weird characterization of what YouTubers and internet gurus look like. I want to make two clarifications that we've had since framing. Firstly, that internet gurus are not, in most cases, already massively successful business people. Just by virtue of them being content creators and having this alternate source of revenue, they definitionally are content creators first. And secondly, most of the people that sell things online are not massive internet personalities. They don't have 100 million followers. This characterization is just blatantly untrue. The reality is that they do need to have short-term profit, because as we tell you, they need to remain relevant. If not, they will not be able to maintain the following that they have. No thank you. What is the implication of this? Firstly, that just a lot of the examples they give you are outside of the scope of this debate. Like if they want to talk about Mr. Beast making chocolate, that's outside of the scope of the debate because he doesn't claim to be an expert in making chocolate. And secondly, and most importantly, given the fact that they're not like incredible business people and need to make short-term profit in order to remain relevant, that's the specific reason they're forced to resort to things like charisma and target unique insecurities of vulnerable populations to make a profit. Secondly, now on this very strange argument about monopolies. A couple things. One, and this is like the most important, I'm not sure whether Team Japan knows this, but monopolies in the status quo are already regulated. Like monopolies just don't exist in the real world, so it's unclear what the counterfactual is and why it's likely you're going to just end monopolies when they don't really exist. Next, if they want to talk about like one example being pharmaceuticals, it's just really unclear what YouTubers are entering the pharmaceutical market. And finally, adding one product, even if we do buy their monopolies, which they aren't, it's unclear why it's going to massively reduce prices. Like if there's only one operator in the market, it's unclear why adding one YouTuber's company is going to significantly get all the benefits on competition and price reducing that they talk about. Secondly, I want to flip the idea of price, because we bring this up and down our bench and they don't respond to this idea of price. So one, if monopolies don't exist, there's probably not price gouging. But we tell you that the demand for goods produced by people with massive cult followings is extremely inelastic, which means that people are forced to pay more for products because they come from famous individuals that they look up to. Which means that even in their best case, when these are experts and they're producing legitimate products, people are coerced into paying more money for products that they could get from other sources because they're paying more due to the fact that it's coming from someone that they look up to and they idolize. They needed to respond to that. If they cared about price, it's far worse on their side of the house. And finally, I just want to be clear that this is extremely tense. If their entire case is like monopolies are bad and they hate capitalism, but their like mechanism to solve this is by like partnering with angel investors who have stakes in monopolies and are the reasons that capitalism is so pernicious and harmful, it's just unclear why that will ever fix the problem. And thirdly now, and this is probably the most important thing, on experts. Their claim is that most people online are experts. A number of reasons why this is true. Remember, if I can like convince you that this is not true, they can't win this debate. One, in the counterfactual, this is important, experts are still experts. If they have access to huge resources and they are have massive accreditations, they can externally sell their goods without needing to use their internet personality to do so. If we don't let them sell it through their YouTube account, they're probably still going to be able to sell those products even if we buy that they're beneficial products. Secondly, even if they are experts, there are still higher prices. They had to reconcile their case with the fact that even in the case of experts, the fact that they have YouTube personalities to begin with means that people are economically exploited. And finally, and this is very important, on the weighing of whether it's likely that the majority are experts or the majority are not experts. A few reasons that the majority probably aren't experts. One, experts, doctors if they want to talk about it, usually don't start vlogging in the first place because they have a bunch of money and well-being just by virtue of them being successful doctors. They don't need to start vlogging to be successful. No thank you. Second, it's very easy to start an online business, which means that it attracts people who are not experts. We tell you in framing that it's very easy to fake accreditations, to create good-looking websites, and to fake reviews. These are all things which enable people that are not experts to access the same market. Finally, success is mostly luck-based in these situations. Like, you can't guarantee becoming famous on YouTube. And given that there are fewer experts in the real world than there are just normal people, it's likely that the same is true online. Final point here is that experts lack charisma. So even if experts do exist, we think people will probably turn to the more charismatic alternatives, which are harmful. And the counterfactual here is a world in which experts make more expensive products without the make cheaper products, without the prestige, without having the harmful individuals we identify on our side of the house. Next, and more importantly here, on harmful ideologies. First thing I want to touch on is accountability, why there's no accountability for these dropped arguments we give you on these pernicious individuals. Firstly, you can forge good reviews. Secondly, individuals often are threatened or coerced out of doing these things. Take Jake Paul or Andrew Tate. Thirdly, that oftentimes the reviews don't matter because these individuals have cult following. People buying these products are forced to weigh up the fact that they idealize this person and they care about this person with a couple of bad reviews. In many cases, the fact that there are some bad reviews probably forces them to double down in their support of this person. We see that in situations like Logan Paul, like Andrew Tate. No thank you. Fourthly, on vulnerable individuals. We tell you they target children, people with body insecurities, people with depression. You can't just say that they're going to be regulated because precedent shows that they haven't been regulated. These are people that can't accurately make decisions, which means that the charisma is often enough to sway them. I'll take the point.
Do cult followings follow these content creators no matter what they do?
Yeah, I think they usually do follow them no matter what they do. That's important. Fifthly, often there's a margin in terms of online personalities. There's a specific set of people where not a massive amount of accountability exists because they're not 100 million subscriber accounts. These are people that we tell you are often just outright scammers. They don't provide you a product after you give them your credit card information because there's no way to keep a 50,000 subscriber YouTube channel well accountable. And finally, even if they argue that we can change the ways that they act, the damage has already been done after the point where they steal your money, which means that all of the harms that we give you on our side of the house still stand. We tell you they still give you arbitrary claims about being able to get rich. They make things like getting a perfect body seem like you can do it in 2 weeks. We tell you that these things can't be personalized. Things like mental health and financial advice is catastrophic. And the key here is that corporations only have a responsibility to make the product, whereas these people have a responsibility to also make content, which is why they can't do both at the same time. It's far less likely to be personalized on their side of the house. These people feel like they are irrelevant. They feel useless at the point where they can't do what their idealized person tells them that they can do. And finally, that they promote harmful ideologies. They promote toxic masculinity, body insecurities, and mental health. And the distinction with this coming from a YouTuber versus coming from a corporation is that you're not seeing it when you're watching commercials on TV. You're being told it by someone that you look up to and someone that you idealize. So even if corporations do promote these same ideas, it's far more pernicious at the point when it's coming from someone that you look up to and you believe in. We think that's very important as well. They say these things and then they market them. For all these reasons, I'm very happy to propose.
Rebuttal gives you a pretty convincing introduction, that their main argument about things like mental health can be accessed on their side as well. This is because YouTubers still have the capacity to market on things like, for example, making people feel insecure as well. This is why they're able to get opt-ins to their YouTube, so that they can be like, if you watch my YouTube account, then you'll be able to fix all of those problems. Therefore, the incentive for these, for example, beauty gurus to make people feel insecure exists on either side of the house. Therefore, it's very unlikely that the situation changes. As a response, third prop comes up here and says that commercial on TV is just not harmful. But number one, that still doesn't engage the crux of our argument. But secondly, commercials on TV are equally as harmful, right? When commercials on TV repeatedly use the rhetoric, such as you can become thin if you use this product, and once you opt into it and continuously use it and you don't become thin, you're likely to access the same impact as their side of the house. Therefore, their point on mental health is immediately deleted from this debate. With that, I'm going to talk about two more important themes in this debate. Firstly, why corporations in monopolized contexts are likely to get stimulus. Secondly, even in unsaturated markets, why celebrities have the incentive to create high-quality products. But before that, what is this debate actually about? And here's where I want to break the characterization debate. So who are these celebrities like gurus likely to become? Prop 2 actually concedes that these are likely to be powerful influencers, which is a huge tension with Prop 3 when they argue that it's not. But what this does essentially is this breaks the premise of their argument. Because these beauty influencers don't really have to keep on staying relevant insofar as they have an established reputation for themselves by the nature that they're powerful influencers. We give you mechanism as to why they likely have so much power. This is because they need a lot of capital to be able to produce their products, right? And per their characterization of these influencers only being able to create content and not have any other jobs at their accessibility, it's very likely that their main source of income is their job of being an influencer. And supposedly, for you to have that millions of dollars so you can invest into making a new product, that assumes that these people have an established place in the market and are extremely powerful in the market. Therefore, this cuts down their argument. But secondly, there's so many other ways to stay relevant, right? So if presumably the main incentive of these people was to stay relevant, it's likely that they can have other ways, like for example, canceling other YouTubers and stuff. But actually, we flip this, that this actually makes them irrelevant. This is because you need to take months away in order for you to make a new product and for you to quickly examine the products as well. Therefore, at the moment which you're taking a 4-month away from YouTube and stuff, it's very likely that you're going to be irrelevant, therefore this flips your analysis. With that said, I think the conclusion and implication of all of this is that these celebrities are likely to be powerful, these celebrities are likely to act upon the credibility of these consumers that believe that they're experts in this area. Before I move on to my first question, sure.
Even if on our side of the house, YouTubers continue promoting harmful ideologies, the difference is this. One, that individuals are not economically exploited by being forced to make a transaction, and two, they're coerced into buying better and cheaper products that don't come from that YouTuber.
Yeah, I'm going to engage this in my first and second argument. So first, corporations in monopolized context getting new stimulus. Now let me clarify the context that proposition seems to ignore. We told you that this context of this argument exists within content creators breaking into monopolized markets. So this, for example, looks like the Japanese YouTuber Skakin going into monopolized instant noodle market, which is only owned by one company in Japan, and creating instant noodles so that consumers buy it. This created competition. For example, Gatorade that Logan Paul launched into. Gatorade was previously owned by one company. Now there's two. For example, things like law school entrance exam. There's a huge monopoly over this, but YouTubers opting into this made that there was more competition. Now, the weighing as to why this argument was really important is because simply on a degree of harm. So even if we concede to all of their analysis and essentially agree to all of their best case and say that there are instances where celebrities are just completely unaccounted and there's instances where these bad products, the scope of the harm is extremely minimal from their side of the house. This is because products that produce active harm for consumers are likely to be regulated by things like FDA. You simply, by the nature of law, have to go through these regulations for you to be able to produce and sell stuff. Therefore, this was not about whether these celebrities have the capacity to follow these stuff. These celebrities just have to follow these stuff. Therefore, the implication of this is that it's very unlikely that these products produce a net harm to the people on the ground. What's more likely is that there's just net loss of money because these people are just investing into useless stuff. Now, with that said, this is not an important impact. This is because consumers constantly make calculus, right? They're unlikely to invest a significant amount of money to the extent where this literally damages their livelihoods. Things like, for example, money. This is important because it affects the most proximate and the most prominent incentives that you have. Things like your ability to pay for a child's career and stuff. Things like your capacity to invest into other hobbies that you have, etc. Therefore, because money is more proximate to you, likely than these famous celebrity that you never know, you never had a personal connection to, it's very likely that consumers make constant calculus, and therefore, if they choose to invest millions of dollars, it's likely to be that they're really rich, so therefore it's unlikely that their impact is as harmful as they say. And in fact, our argument about price gouging, these consumers having no alternatives, is the most important impact in this debate. First of all, we told you that they're unlikely to price gouge.
What information?
No, thank you. they say a couple of things, like that, they are likely to price gouge from their Prop 3, but this creates a huge tension with their case. If supposedly these YouTubers want to make money from this, it's unlikely that they'll price gouge to the extent where it's unlikely that they'll get continuous opt-in from their consumers. Therefore, it's very likely that they'll lower price. But second, our argument was not just about things like price gouging. Our argument was about things like better quality goods, things like instant noodles being so unhealthy to the consumers on the ground, but consumers on the ground just having no other alternative, so they have to keep on buying into it. This is also things like forcing corporations to listen to consumer demands. Therefore, they do not engage the crux of our argument. Therefore, reply is way too late. With that, let's engage on the high quality products argument. On a meta, their second argument on insecurity is also contingent on proving this, so by proving this, we disprove all of their premise. Now with that, I want to break the deadlock on what consumers' characteristics are likely to be. Will consumers care about persona rather than products? And the way I break this deadlock is they just assert this, right? But this was premise for their entire case. I'm going to analytically break this deadlock by proving to you two things. Firstly, on framing, we told you that uniquely, the kinds of content creators that we talk about are people who sell on credibility, who sell on their expertise. For example, like who sell on their ability to use makeup well, who sell on their ability to game well and stuff. So therefore, they're not the types of YouTubers that are like, what I did today and like, showing their challenge and stuff. Therefore, it's likely that the audience opted in with the prior interest in things like products and things like makeup in general than the persona of these YouTubers. Therefore, their premise gets blocked. But secondly, even if consumers care about persona, they make calculus, right? Because money is the most proximate incentive. So therefore, they're unlikely to opt in continuously to a thing that doesn't really get them any benefit, insofar as they have calculus on themselves. But they say also that accountability isn't there because of cult of personality to engagement. Firstly, there's literally no mechanism as to why cult of personality leads to blind consumption of this argument. We told you that our analysis was that that doesn't happen, and there's reasons why our analysis is more probable. Because we're the only site that actually analyzes who these content creators are, right? We told you that the content creators' fans are likely to be the ones with prior interest in things like products. Therefore, these fans know a lot about the nature of things like beauty products. Therefore, they're unlikely to opt into things that are harmful for them. They give no engagement to this. But secondly, it's very probable that reviewers of them call them out. They say they're likely to have friends within the field, but it's likely that there's like 5,000 people that are doing beauty review, so it's unlikely that they have 5,000 friends, so therefore the extent of their engagement is very minimal. They also say they're going to be cancelled, but if the product is so bad, it's likely that there's scientific evidence that you can back them up, so they're unlikely to be cancelled. Round of applause.
I'll be making three main clarifications, then discussing three main clashes. Firstly, what do these internet gurus look like? And here's what proposition will have you believe. They'll have you believe that these internet gurus have no altruistic incentives, they don't care about any backlash they get, and they're inherently short-termist. On opposition, we give you a far more reasonable characterization, which is that they do have long-term incentives, they do care about their reputation insofar as it's connected to all of their revenue sources, and they also fear personal backlash on their friends and family. Second clarification, are these gurus experts? Now, proposition basically tells you, oh no, because one, if they already have their money from their other jobs, they can't be YouTubers. To which we basically tell you, why do you debate? Do you debate because you get money from it? No, because you're passionate about it, that you care about debating. That's why you debate. This is the same for these gurus. But also, note the lack of mechanization that proposition bench gives you here. They significantly have to explain why, they significantly have to explain all of their mechanization here. The third main clarification is on the characterization of what these cult followers looks like. And I want to make three main notes here. Firstly, note that these people are humans. They're inherently rational, or fairly rational, and therefore are not going to irrationally follow a YouTuber forever. But also secondly, they'll likely stop following this YouTuber when they do mess up. You can see people getting cancelled in the status quo in real life. Thirdly, note the lack of mechanization on the proposition bench. They need to explain why, oh, I like a YouTuber, so who cares what they do stands. Just because, for example, I like my teammates doesn't mean that when they mess up, I don't get angry at them. Finally, just regarding a note on why we believe that these gurus tend to be experts is for two reasons. Firstly, the fact that they're willing to invest so much of the time of their content in that field means that you're likely invested and knowledgeable. But also secondly, they have the capacity to create the product, which suggests two things. One, that they very, very much care about it and they're long-termist. But also secondly, insofar as these fan bases and the people who actually care about it, who tend to be the fan bases, opt into these individuals' YouTube channels or whatever, it means that these YouTubers tend to to be fairly knowledgeable. With that said then, 3 main clashes. Firstly, on quality of product, and proposition gives you 2 pushes. Firstly, they tell you that these products embolden insecurities, and we basically tell you from Reno's introduction that this still exists on when it comes to corporations, and we get no engagement. Secondly, they tell you these products lack personalization, and here we tell you one that this exists in corporations, but actually we also tell you that this is significantly more amplified when it comes to the proposition bench, insofar as big corporations have a large market to cater to. Thirdly, also note the contradiction here with their claim on niche markets, which Narakami pointed out. On opposition regarding quality of products, we tell you that insofar as we have already proven to you that these internet groups tend to be experts, and this was the only engagement that we get from the proposition bench, we take this clash. But also, we've proven to you why internet groups getting backlash is going to why these internet groups are likely to get backlash, which is unique to their world. The second clash is on pricing, and basically we get no engagement here. We basically tell you that these corporations are able to price gouge uniquely in our world, and the only response we get here is, oh, but monopolies don't exist, which just empirically isn't true. But finally, let's assume that everything is a deadlock up to this point. Let's assume that neither side has taken any of the clashes up to this point. The important thing I want to note here is that uniquely in proposition, they fail to engage through an entire argument that comes from Reno's speech. We tell you from Reno's speech on Gen Z individuals who significantly care about factors like, for example, the environment when it comes to product. We get no responses throughout any of their speeches or POIs. This alone can lose us this debate. For all these reasons, we're incredibly proud to stand on the opposition. Thank you.
Then I believe my time starts now. Look, we spent 24 minutes and even a POI telling you and begging them to please respond with our analysis on why the expertise of gurus is so vital or so real on their side of the house. Just on this clash alone, they have lost. But let me get into 3 main clashes on why they have lost. But first, a few extraneous rebuttals on their points of quality and 3 main clashes here. First of all, on the exploitation of vulnerable people. Look, we told you, and this was basically left unresponded to except on one little sentence in the second, where we told you that ideologically young people are exploited, but because there's an insecurity created at much larger rates by these internet gurus for profit exploitation. We told you this manifests in young kids. Those same young kids that they on their side claim so much care about the environment. First of all, we don't understand why this point about the environment can't be achieved by companies, why it can only be achieved by internet gurus, but we stand on our side of the house for the metric that we promoted since first when we told you that hurting these vulnerable communities is the main thing that we should be evaluating in this debate and in seeing whether these products actually work. Again, we told you not only do they exploit the young kids, we told you that they exploit people who already feel alone, insecure, and who are seeking help. How do they do this? First of all, they sell them products that don't work. Second of all, what they do is they say insecurity, they promote this insecurity further and tell it as a way to maximize their profit. And even on their side of the house, when they come up to tell us anything about this, they say insecurity still exists as promo. Sure, we agree, it exists on TV. But the real difference that we have on prop side is that consumers actually have solutions on our side of the house that work, because companies don't need charisma. They just need efficiency. And so that's one thing that you can know, that those solutions for these problems, including on mental health, not just skincare, exist on our side of the house. Again, this is a big point. They've squirreled this debate away to just instant ramen influencers. This is not the main point of this debate. We're talking about people who talk about financial markets, entrepreneurship, your mental health. These are the experts that we're talking about within this debate as well, and these are the experts whose harms are so vital to consider. Again, on my second thing, on the expertise and quality of internet gurus, which we think is probably the biggest clash on their debate. First of all, either they are experts enough to get angel investors for their profits, in which case we think we have equal benefits on our side of the house, or they only get these investments because of their fame. And this is a harm that exclusively exists on their side of the house, and it is so bad. We give you multiple reasons why they're not experts, but let me list them out for you again. First of all, because there's so many gurus and there's a profit incentive in being able to sell these products that attracts people who aren't gurus. Second of all, because the people who are professionals are already successful and unlikely to search for another income stream besides just talking about mental health advice, but are unlikely to sell that product. And third of all, on that opportunity cost and who they're going to help most. Look, when it comes to this, let's even take them at their best when it comes to gurus being experts. Let's say almost all of them are well-meaning, all of them are experts. First of all, we told you on this point of personalization that they're still likely to cause harm in mental health, business, etc. because they're trying to, and we told you that they're going to have like non-personalized solutions because they're going to try to maximize profit across the majority of their markets. But even if like some small minority are not gurus, the harms of scams, false and faulty products, and insecurities still stand, and this is something that you have to consider because this impact has lasted throughout the debate and we've received little rebuttal on it. Again, there are better professional alternatives that the people that issues have access to. They had to tell us why these guru products are so much better than those. And finally, on these like points of quality of product, we told you two things here. First of all, on this returning fan base cycle, we told you that even if backlash happens, it's not enough to like have fans go away from these products. And even if this like backlash does occur, we think that this backlash actually creates fame. Like in the case of Andrew Tate, how many more people were exposed to his audience because of the fact that he had controversy against him? We think that this point is bad on their side. And then on this final point of like toppling monopolies, first of all, we need to see why gurus are the best actors to do so. We haven't heard this, but we told you on our side of the house that on like when you have gurus selling specialized product that they sell in the charisma, you're likely going to have higher price points. So we have the price gouging that they say is the most important metric, and we win on that as well. So on their own metrics of like pricing, on like this idea of like who has experts on their side of the house, and on this final like really important clash on the exploitation of vulnerable people, we believe that props should take this debate. Thank you.